Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doc's Huddle, your gateway to an in-depth connection between sports medicine and the latest events in sports, fantasy, and betting. I'm Dr. Mikey B. With me, as always, Dr. MJB, the legend, and Chris, otherwise known as CJ, the sports enthusiast. What's going on, boys? How we doing?
Pretty well. How you doing?
Not bad. Another day. It was a long one, to be honest, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah,
we're through the worst of it. We're at the good part now.
Yeah,
so you know.
True.
So today we're going to be reviewing the NFC and the AFC North rankings on what we think is going to occur rankings-wise for the 2024 season, based off of some of the off-season moves. Patience, you can tell I've been working all day. Teams, rosters. And we all came to our own conclusion. We don't know what each other have picked, and we'll have a little bit of debate on our decision making and so on and so forth. Before we get started on that, anything else you guys want to add?
Nope. Ready to go.
Let's shoot for it.
Let's go. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to have Dr. MJB lead us off with your NFC North rankings.
I love doing this because every time we do this, the reaction I get out of you two is phenomenal.
I can only imagine where this is going.
Listen, I'm a guy who likes intrigue. So even though I like intrigue, I stuck truly to this is what I believe, not just, to get some viewers or applause from this. So with no further ado, this is my NFC North ranking for this upcoming season. Now, before you guys ridicule my rankings,
I already knew this was coming based off of previous shows. If there are any other listeners that were watching previous shows, we already knew. And you know what's really funny? Not to interrupt, but I didn't think it was going to be like this because we all know how. Well, if you don't know, Dr. MJB here, massive Aaron Rodgers fan. Dr. Dirty Randy, who's yet to make an episode, if he was here, he would tell you how much he can't stand that. But big Aaron Rodgers fan. The guy leaves, and you'd think he would be no longer high on the Green Bay Packers. Wrong. Proceed.
Listen, I tried not to, because you're right. I am Aaron Rodgers fan, and obviously he had nothing to do with this picking. But I don't know. There's something in the water, man. I think this is going to be a good year for them. I'm not saying that the Lions won't be a playoff team. I just think that the Green Bay Packers will end up winning that division. From previous shows, as I mentioned, I absolutely loved their draft. I think that they had a stellar draft in getting Marshawn Lloyd for the backfield and getting Jordan Morgan for the O-line, getting Edwin Cooper, linebacker, Javon Bullard. I just think they bolstered up their defense. The only thing on that team I don't like, I'm not a huge fan of their wide receivers, but clearly that didn't matter last year because Jordan Love still had a good season. So if I anticipate him progressing the way that I do, then I think that the Packers will end up being the division champs.
You didn't even mention that they picked up Josh Jacobs.
Yes. And believe it or not, they're a play action, run play action team. So like you have a bell cow to hound it off to, along with Marshawn Lloyd, who can split carries with them. I think recipe for success.
I'm not sold on that offensive line though.
Yeah, I mean,
I get that. I mean, I'm high on Jordan Love too, though. So I don't think this is far fetched.
I don't either.
I'm high on Jordan Love. But I think that he's just going to continue to be more productive, and he was already productive last year, like you said. I don't love the receivers, but
my only caveat was I'm a firm believer in the Lions. I love Dan Campbell. I love what they're doing there. I'm just still not sold on. I know he had a great year. He was traded over there, and their quarterback, man, I just don't see him taking them to the promised land, dude. I think he is who we thought he was, and I think it'll show itself next season. So I have them taking a step back. I have the Bears. If nothing else, they're going to be super fun to watch on offense. And then I think the Vikings take a step back since they don't have Kirk Cousins anymore. So that's my list.
I think the Dennis Green reference right there is very, very. It's accurate, right? It's accurate. Do you want me to go, Chris, or you want to continue on this? Because I'll
No, just continue on this for a second. I think the Lions. I'll skip to the Lions for a second. Let me just go to the Bears. The Bears, I like where they're listed because researching a little further, I don't know what I think they're the third easiest schedule in the NFL this year. So, that could play a factor to them slipping in above the Vikings, and along with the fact that they have potential quarterback issues to start off the season. We'll see how JJ McCarthy works out and when he starts, but that's the real key to the Vikings, whether or not they're gonna slip up higher in this group. But other than that, you can.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I'm gonna just throw mine up there because it's gonna be in reference to my response to you, MJB. So I literally had the same exact order, just with Green Bay and Detroit flipped around. I have Green Bay taking a step forward, right? So they went 9-8 last year. I think they get one additional win. I think that they're going to show improvement, but I'm just not sold on it. I reviewed every team's schedule. I think the Detroit Lions have a very easy schedule, and just like the Bears do. And I think that their regular season record is going to be fantastic. This isn't a postseason show, and I don't necessarily disagree with you in what you said regarding them going to the promised land, but I don't think that we're going to see some of those issues in the regular season this season just because they have such an easy record. An easy schedule. It might catch up to them in the postseason though. And then, I think the Bears take another step forward, and I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to just suck. Period.
Yeah.
I
don't think they're going to suck. I mean, I think they're in a very hard division.
Yeah, I think that they're going to barely be able to win a game. I mean, they'll probably go 1-5 in divisional games. If they're lucky, they get one on the Bears. I think that the Lions sweep them. I think the Packers sweep them.
I think I'm just interested to see how the Bears play out. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of hype. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't as, I guess, how we're predicting, not in the future, just for the first season.
So if you look at, I don't disagree with you. All right, say that the Bears go, only 6 wins. Still going to be better than the Vikings. Based off of my projections there. Those are what I think that the teams are going to end this season with. My personal opinion. I just don't see it with the Vikings. Their defense has been terrible. They lose Eric Kendricks, who is a phenomenal linebacker in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's just gaping holes on the defense side of the ball. They got a rookie quarterback who, if listeners listened earlier on, to our mock draft, none of us were super high on him, right? I hope JJ McCarthy has success in the league, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, their quarterback issues solved, and because they have JJ McCarthy going into his rookie season. I just don't see it. I don't care what weapons you have on the outside. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, looking at the Vikings schedule, I don't completely disagree. Their schedule is not easy.
It's brutal. If you look at the Vikings schedule, is brutal, and then with their roster, it's like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your rankings, Chris? Are you far off from this?
No, I mean, I think it's in that realm. Are you talking? I'll throw mine up there.
I want to know. Yeah, are you close to us?
I thought you were referring to the record, but no, I actually have
the same ones.
The exact same list.
Yeah.
I thought you were referring to records and how many games the Vikings win, but no, yeah, same list, and I'm a little shocked after seeing the Vikings schedule. That's going to be tough. I mean, I already had them ranked 4th, but I'm trying to give them the opportunity to slide into that 3rd spot.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah. I don't see
it. I don't like, it's one of those where it's like, man, they had to trade or they had to do whatever they could, right, to get their guy at quarterback because of their quarterback need this year. And I just see them picking in the top 5 next year.
Just out of curiosity.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of, going down an unnecessary rabbit hole, but I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. If Kirk Cousins was on the Vikings, where would you rank them?
Oh, I think that they have a shot at being 3rd.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vikings were playing fantastic football on offense because of Kirk Cousins. Like in the beginning of the season last year, Kirk Cousins, you could argue he was an MVP candidate with Dak Prescott at one point before he tore his Achilles. I think, which is a lot to say about Kirk Cousins. Now you look at that schedule, the roster, and the current position it's in. Who's at the helm at quarterback? Like, dude.
Yeah, I follow. I get that.
You know.
Well, since my list is up here for NFC North, Mike, do you want to kick us off with the AFC North rankings? Yeah, you.
Yeah, real quick before you do, Mike, I just want to say that
Proceed.
I think we can all agree that I think we both think Lions and Packers will be playoff teams.
I completely agree.
So there's a huge gap whether you have Packers first or Lions first. I think there's a huge gap between them and then Bears and Vikings.
Yeah,
battling for either worst team or at best middle of the pack kind of thing. So
if you go back to my rankings where I kind of looked at the schedule and I was picking out like, oh, this could be a win, definitely loss. Like Detroit Lions, I think, and the Packers will definitely get in. I think Packers will have a good spot at the wild card. And then I think that if the Chicago Bears are lucky enough to finish the season 9-8, then it won't be good enough because I think that there's going to be too many other teams that are going to have records similar, and I just don't think that they're going to have the ability. I mean, maybe because of the easy schedule, but I just don't see it. I think that they're another year away at least from making the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So the AFC North rankings, I'm really excited for this one, right? I feel like the NFC North, there wasn't going to be much debate. The AFC North, I think, is one of the closest, if not the closest division in football. So very, very interesting here. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are still going to win, right? So they went 13-4, I believe, last season. And so I think that looking at their schedule, it's not very easy. I mean, hell, 5 of their games are in the AFC North, but I think that they're gonna win the majority of those games. I think that they're gonna come out maybe not 13-4, 12-5. You know, when choosing losses and wins. And then here's where it gets interesting. I think that the Bengals take a leap from 4th to 2nd. Every year, there's always that team that comes in last that makes a big jump, play right back into the playoffs. I think the Bengals are one of those teams as long as Joe Burrow stays healthy. So I'm banking on Joe Burrow staying healthy. They pull out an 11-6 season. And then, man, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, 2 of the best defenses in the league. Problem is, what the hell is going on the offensive side of the ball? And, you know, I think that because of the schedule, looking at the schedules, I think they both have the opportunity to have around a 9-8 or an 8-9 season. I literally did not pick an 8-9 season because Mike Tomlin has yet to have a losing record as a Steelers head coach.
Very true stat. Yeah.
So I gave him the benefit of the doubt and put him at 9-8. However, I put the Cleveland Browns at 3rd and the Steelers at 4th because I believe for divisional wins, the Browns will kind of get away with one more than the Steelers will, giving them a better divisional record, putting them over the Steelers in this debate. Both of them have a shot at either making or not making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And, you know, I pretty much have the same exact rankings you have. I'm just going to throw mine up there. So we have the exact same order. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that Pittsburgh has, according to multiple sources, the hardest ranked schedule in the NFL this coming season. So I think that the Steelers are, I don't want to say dead to last, but almost like pretty sure out of this tough division.
Do you think it's Mike Tomlin's first season where you think he finally doesn't break 500?
I don't want to say no because it's hard to doubt the guy, right? It's like doubting Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, but you know he's always successful, right? But I think it could happen. You know, I think it's very likely. If it was going to be a season, it might be this one. And then just jumping back to the Bengals, I think Joe Burrow has a bounce back season. I think he does enough to get them in that number 2 spot. And then the Browns are another team that have a really hard schedule. I think they were ranked the third hardest NFL schedule coming out this year. So pretty much close up there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's going to be tough. And I like I don't know if there's going to be a tiebreaker, see how the Pittsburgh really plays out this year. But yeah, those are my rankings. And I think the Ravens should take it all. And I'm not just talking about the division. I'm talking about all of it. So I got the talent.
Completely agree. Now, I know, MJB, you're about to share, and I just want to throw this out there because I've been dying to have this debate on the show. So I want you to show us yours, and then let's bring this into the discussion. Right? We need to talk extensively on the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room. And that is the largest differential in, I think, what sets both teams apart from the Bengals, right? Joe Burrow is putting them, the Bengals, ahead of the Browns and the Steelers. I mean, because the Browns and the Steelers defense is better, right? They have, in my opinion,
without question.
It's why are the Bengals getting ahead of these? Well, I don't know what you're about to tell us, but in my eyes, it's why did I put the Bengals ahead? It's because of that abysmal quarterback room in both cities. In Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So I can't wait to have that discussion. But go ahead. Let's hear yours.
Sir Michael, you are spot on. And that's where I was leading towards. Yeah, this is my ranking. I know, you guys think I'm crazy a little bit, Chris thinks I drink the bourbon. I don't, I'm a sober man.
Here we go.
I'm a sober man. Booyah. Okay. I have the Baltimore Ravens as a top team in the division, as you both do. The Browns, man, bro, I'm looking at their roster right now.
It's another unbelievable. It's
unbelievable.
It's crazy. Their defense was a top-rated defense in the league, so I'm not even going to go there.
No,
I was just going to say that, their defense is what puts them at number 2. But continue.
I'm going to read just their skill positions. You have Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku. I'm like,
it's unbelievable.
Put Baptiste in there to throw the ball, man, and I get us to the playoffs.
It's really all on Deshaun Watson. They have an incredible roster.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. Their entire roster. I'm like, this is amazing. So I just think if Deshaun Watson could just be available, right? He doesn't even have to have the greatest season because he hasn't played a full season in 2 years. So if he's just
that's what I want to ask you. Do you think he's going to bounce back? Because he had everything happen to him. He was out of the league. Now he's coming back. He had a season. What's your thoughts on that?
I think this is his last opportunity. So I think for that reason, he'll have fuel to the fire to want to play harder and be available. That's why I have him there because I'm like, this is it, man. This is it. They signed you to that contract, but bro, teams are ready to move on now. What I'm saying? They'll take that dead money and be like, whatever, we took a loss with that and turn the chapter, especially if you're going to draft. If he doesn't do anything, you end up drafting let's say a quarterback next year. It's not as bad because you'll have him taking all that money, but you'll have a rookie quarterback with a roster like that. So I think for him, he's put up or shut up, right? So get it done this season or you're out. So I don't know, because of that scenario, I think that he'll do his best to be available. Will he survive a full season? I don't know. He hasn't shown it, but I think that, that's why I have him second. I think there's more holes in the Bengals roster than the Browns. And I think it shows itself this year. I think Joe Burrow is phenomenal. I just don't think that they have enough. And I think the T. Higgins drama is also going to be something to look out for during the season because he didn't get the contract he wanted and was forced to sign the tag. And now he has to play under the tag and doesn't really want to. It can create controversy in the locker room. So for that reason, those two reasons, roster alone and the T. Higgins not having a long-term contract, I think Bengals go third. And Pittsburgh, man, I don't know what Pittsburgh, Justin Fields returning kicks and I just don't know. I think that they'll be relevant because they always are, but I just think they come in fourth with everything being said and done.
Yeah. I believe that your rankings are what should happen.
Yeah, I
What-
like that.
They're what should happen. I sat here and just staring at these four damn teams, and then the Browns are a better football team on
man.
paper.
It's
better.
If you put Kirk Cousins on the Cleveland Browns, you could argue that they take first in the division.
Playoffs.
Right. So
I'm just curious to keep
I just don't think
on this topic. Do you think losing Joe Mixon is a big impact for the Bengals offense?
I do.
Stand by.
I do. Because he was dual threat, not only run, he was a pass.
Yeah,
catcher.
and I think that's kind of what hurts the Bengals a little bit. You know, Joe Burrow coming off the injury, he has to basically play lights out to make it into that spot, which I think he can do. He can do, but like you said, the Browns are a better team. It's really up to Deshaun Watson. If he can, perform, then the Browns would be unbelievable. I think it's all resting on his shoulders.
And I'm looking at the Bengals roster, bro. I'm just not impressed, man. Like, aside from their receiver room and how highly we think of Joe Burrow, like, I'm looking at these guys. I'm like,
yeah, it's not the same team it was
like,
when they had that Super Bowl run.
It's decent, but like, not a team that I expect like make playoffs and make a push for something deeper. It's just, I don't see it, man.
I'll say this about the running back position, and this is no disrespect to Joe Mixon. Statistically, once you turn 20, go past the age of 26, statistically, running backs production in the NFL drops. He just turned 27, so now you know that production is supposedly going to start to drop. Zach Moss, now you can make the argument, he's 26, right? He's now their starting running back. He's right around that age, but he was also 27th in the league in rushing last year with 794 yards, and he didn't start every game because he was still splitting carries with Jonathan Taylor once Jonathan Taylor came back. So now you put him as a premier back. Dude, this guy could have a 1,000-yard season.
He could.
So I'm not, and I know that he was one of the hottest commodities in the running back room and like tier 2 running backs in free agency after, the Saquon Barkleys and, the Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler's. But like, I don't think there's going to be as big of a drop off with the Joe Mixon position as you think. I'm not saying that the rest of the roster is okay. I'm just saying. I think,
what's your take on the Bengals offensive line? So right now, statistically speaking, the prediction that I'm seeing online is that they're going to be around 9, give or take a few spots, depending on how you feel about it. But most of them
they've been working on it, on fortifying
showing 9.
I mean, they need to. They need to. And that's probably why you're seeing changes in the roster, because finances went towards the offensive line,
So if they're 9 with Zach Moss it might be better than average, but I'm just saying at least average run game with Joe Burrow, and now you still have Jamar Chase. That's still powerful. That's pretty powerful offense,
Oh yeah. For me, it's not even about the offense. I just don't think they can stop anybody.
That's what I was gonna get to. And then I was gonna say, so what about the defense? That's what I was gonna get to.
I don't think they can stop anybody. I think offensively, with Joe Burrow healthy and how much they invested in the O-line, they're gonna score points. That's not a question. But a shootout every week is not.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. But it's gonna have to be a shootout majority of the weeks. You are correct. Listen, I don't think Deshaun Watson's gonna get it done, man. Joe Flacco had more success than he did.
My point. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
if he's just,
why
he's
don't
just
they sign him again?
He was.
Yeah,
I didn't understand that either.
I know, and you are right, because one of the beat writers for the Cleveland Browns was on Big Blue Kickoff Live, which is the New York Giants podcast. They were interviewing him because they interview the beat writers, the main beat writer for each team that they're going to play. So they had him on there, and literally the topic of discussion was like, yeah, this team could be phenomenal, or it can be garbage, and it's all based on one player. And this is not me saying this. This is like the Cleveland's press, and and they're basically saying like it's a known thing in Cleveland. Like, it's do or die with him, and if he does not produce this year, we move on. And historically, guys who leave the league or who sit out or who get suspended, when they come back, we don't see the same production. Can you name one player that you've seen? I can't.
especially not at quarterback. But
Shit.
they have
Come on.
the reason they didn't sign Joe Flacco, Chris, is because they have
I was gonna say Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco's.
They have famous Jameis, baby. Eating W's, man.
Yeah, well, let's see how that works.
That brings up that brings up my next question. They brought him in there for veteran leadership. Man, do you think that he'll be starting at one point this season?
I don't think so, unless Deshaun Watson goes down. They're giving him the year for sure.
But that's what Mike is saying. He thinks that he just won't make it. So
I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, if
possible, right? I mean, anything's possible.
If you're barely winning games, or if you're on the if you're like on the verge of winning or losing multiple games, and the game is lost because of quarterback play, I'm just saying. I don't know. We'll find out. But I think that the Browns have the roster to do it all, and they just don't have the captain of the ship. Period.
Bro, with the roster like that, man, just run the ball all year. Like, whether it's Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley, just hand it off, man.
The Jets went and signed Tyrod Taylor, who was the Giants' backup last year. Now he's their backup. Tyrod Taylor produced when he was the starter, when DJ went down. Tyrod Taylor was a starting quarterback for the Chargers before his unfortunate lung was punctured by a incompetent physician. Okay, like why didn't they sign Tyrod Taylor?
I don't know. That would have been a good move.
Because Deshaun Watson is breaking the bank. That's exactly right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're right. I can't reason with one of the most idiotic signings that we've ever seen. Like, all that guaranteed money, like, is awful.
Leave it to Cleveland.
Yeah, I know.
Famous Jameis, baby. I'm telling you. You remember that? Listen, halfway through the season, that's what we're gonna be doing, man. Who wants a W?
Oh my God, Browns gonna be winning.
Best offseason workouts I've ever seen, man. Best offseason workouts I've ever seen.
You standing by that as a sports medicine professional? I think not. For those of you who don't know what we're referring to, just look up some of Jameis Winston's off-season workouts. They are quite memorable and entertaining. Oh my God. Well, on that note, I think that's, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to cover on that? I think that's where it's at. I think that the Ravens, like you said, Chris, have a really good shot at taking it all the way.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, no more. I don't have anything else to cover on AFC North. I just would like to throw out a stat out there for NFC North, is that there's 3 playoff teams in 2023 that came from the NFC North, and I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that again.
Which 3 do you think?
Well, definitely Lions, Packers are easy. It becomes down if the Bears can pull off their easy schedule.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's pretty wild that 2 teams in the same division, one can have such a brutal schedule.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all.
What's happening there? I saw that, and it's almost like, is the NFL trying to
push them up,
push a narrative? Like, I know it's so conspiracy theorist of me to say, but it's just like, I don't know.
It's going down a very large rabbit hole, though.
Yeah, we're not going to go down that. But I'm just saying. I just saw that. I just thought it was a little odd.
It is weird.
It's just very weird. But I think that's all I have to say about those teams. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I'm looking forward to doing next week's episode. So next week's episode, we're going to be discussing 2 more divisions, their rankings, and where we think they're going to sit in at the end of the regular season. We're going to try to wrap up 2 each week leading into our fantasy football shows, which will be coming shortly. I mean, it's pretty wild that the season's right around the corner. I mean, I just said goodbye to some of the guys that I work with, because they're traveling back to 10 training camp coming around the 25th. So, it's the 10th or 25th or 26th, I think, this year. It's normally around that time every year. So, like, they're leaving where they're doing the rehab and their sports performance training, and they're all going to take one last trip before we hit the ground running. It's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
You guys see the first episode of Hard Knocks?
Not yet. Don't spoil it.
Watch it. I heard the second one released tonight. Looking forward to it. Have not seen it yet.
Nice.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out. At least it gives me 2 to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, with that being said, that's all we have for today's episode of the Docs Huddle. We want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to remind everyone that today's show is brought to you by the Health and Wellness Depot. Unlock the power of well-being. And for Dr. MJB, the legend, CJ, the sports enthusiast, I'm Dr. Mikey B. That's Dr. MJB. I'm Dr. Mikey B. Have a great night, everyone.